All you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
It feels great relaxing at home.
You know what feels even better? Turning our home into a big piggy bank with a fixed-rate home equity loan from First Harvest Credit Union. Rates are as low as 5.99% APR. We can get the cash we need for a new car, the kids' tuition, a kitchen remodel.
You're right.
Of course I'm right.
Get details and apply online at firstharvestcu.com/home equity. Membership restrictions apply. Rate based on individual credit analysis is accurate as of May 1st, 2024 and subject to change. Equal housing lender. Insured by NCUA.
Talk Radio 1210. WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
There is so much developing right now, and this as we are on SCOTUS watch, because it's 10 a.m., and that means the Supreme Court of the United States of America, the highest court in the land, is about to drop, well, a string of rulings that may be blockbuster rulings. We're watching this very carefully, involving abortion rights, gun rights, the Justice Department's case against former President Donald J. Trump, all of these cases that we are looking at. And this is 2 years after, of course, the Roe v. Wade ruling, infamous ruling, right, was overturned. And now we're looking at what's going on here as far as the abortion rights issue. And then, depending on which way they go, thinking about how that may or may not impact the upcoming November 5th election. What about Trump's immunity claim? So this one is the big one that I am watching, you are watching, we're all looking for here. And this is as far as former President Donald J. Trump, his attorneys claiming immunity from criminal prosecution. So the Trump team, those attorneys have argued not only that he cannot be prosecuted for his attempts to overturn they claim the attempts that he's accused of trying to overturn the 2020 election, but they're saying no president can ever be prosecuted for these such things while in office. And so remember, during the oral arguments in Trump's case, several justices, by the questions you're asking, we try to see what is their inclination, which way are they going with this. So we're watching it very carefully. The court may very well put the case back down to the lower courts, and they do that often to help draw that distinction, avoiding a clear ruling from them, but saying it needs to go back, and then they'll put their recommendations, if you will, what they're looking at. So even that would be a win, though, for Trump if they do that. But as I speak, they're releasing these new rulings. I know that Henry especially is watching these rulings, and we'll try to get you the very latest on this as far as these new opinions. But I will tell you that if the high court kicks it back to Trump, then in that type of situation, if the high court kicks it back to the lower courts, that's a victory, because of course it means more delays. That while they're going through that process, there's no way that it could possibly, anything could happen as far as before the November election. And that's really what we're looking at here. So we're watching that very carefully. We want to get to, as far as, and while we're looking at that and waiting for all the rulings to come down this morning within the next hour, it's important to talk about the new details on the actual destruction from that massive train derailment. This is East Palestine, Ohio. The implications are for us here in Pennsylvania in particular, but also the entire East Coast, as now this new research, this credible new report as it's being described, and a newly released study by it's published in Environmental Research Letters. You can look at it for yourself. There are links all over, online. And this is going back to February 3rd, 2023, Norfolk Southern freight train carrying hazardous materials, derailing in East Palestine, Ohio, which is, of course, East Palestine, Ohio, right on the PA-Ohio border. And yes, according to these researchers who've been studying this since that February 2023 situation, they say, yes, indeed, it sent toxic chemicals into the air, into the soil, into creeks, into lakes, and this affects all of us. In fact, they named 16 states, including Pennsylvania, all along the Northeast, the Midwest, and some southern states, reaching more than 500,000 square miles on 14% of the U.S. land area. That's according to the study. This is huge, affecting about a third of the country. That's what they're reporting here. Remember, initially, everybody was told, oh, no, nothing to worry about here. And they even tried to explain, oh, well, the oil appearance of things in the water and so on, that always happens. The new study, the researchers analyzing rain, snow water samples, collecting from hundreds of sites, the soil, especially the snow, the rain, the water, all of this, that they've been working very hard all this time. And they say, quote, their measurements reveal a real impact from the Midwest through the Northeast, even likely Canada, they say, as far as North Carolina. This is where residents, they say, are impacted. So what does this mean? They're saying exceptionally elevated levels of different types of chemicals that are cancer causing, that are disease causing, and that certainly should raise the concern level. So as we talk about the high heat and the dangerous levels of heat, and they're talking about climate change, I do find it curious that this is not making bigger news, right? How come this is not making bigger news? I don't see a lot on it. I hope that we all can go through the study, talk about it in the days and weeks to come, but this affects you. This affects me. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, almost every site in New York, all of these sites, hundreds of sites where they tested, they flagged them as, yes, indeed, having soot, ash, and dirt samples revealing the pollutants that reached all of these different states. 3 out of 4 residents suffering health impacts, they say, after the derailment. More than 50% of the residents, particularly right there in East Palestine, feeling symptoms through last fall. I'll point out to you that we're awaiting a judge's ruling, but 9 weeks ago, Norfolk Southern agreed to a $600 million settlement, which would resolve the class action suit with people who live within 20 miles of, that derailment. But now I wonder if they will readjust this. And so we're watching this very carefully as I wonder if the judge will say, now that we have this new information, let's reevaluate that one. I want to take you, because we've talked a lot about immigration. So I know I'm taking you around the loop here, but I want to just update you because I've talked a lot about Rachel. Her name is Rachel. The fact that we've not heard President Joe Biden say her name and the family members of Rachel Morin, who is a mom from Maryland, who went out to work out, went out in a beautiful area, much like we all do, in the parks and the trails. And she loved this particular hiking trail there, went out for a run, broad daylight, didn't come home. The family immediately said, something's wrong here. This is a mom of 5 children. Her mom has been speaking out. Her brother's speaking out. The father, the dad of the kids speaking out. And as well, we await word. You would think a lot of times a president in a heinous murder like this, why didn't we hear more about this? I've been talking about the trail left behind this illegal immigrant, as he's being called. We're learning more about him. But I'm going to start with our Homeland Security chief, the czar, he's in charge of Homeland Security. That's the job. It's like the security guard at the door, right? So he's the top guy other than Joe Biden. He's Joe Biden's top security czar. And listen to how he is describing this mom brutally murdered. A bloody, horrible scene. She was violated. She was raped. She was murdered. This happened 10 months ago, by the way. Just listen to this back and forth, if you will, from Biden's top guy as he's being asked about Rachel. Listen in.
About the murder of this Maryland mother that has been in the news. It's gotten a lot of attention. She was killed last year. An undocumented immigrant was just arrested in her death last week. He's suspected of multiple crimes since he crossed the border illegally in early 2023. Obviously, we know that the studies show that undocumented immigrants don't commit more crimes statistically than native-born U.S. citizens. But what do you say to critics who blame the administration for allowing something like this to happen? Yeah, obviously, this is something that you hear in right-wing media all the time.
Jim, first and foremost, of course, our hearts break for the children, the family, the loved ones, the friends of the individual who was murdered.
Rachel Morin.
The woman, the mother.
Rachel. Say her name.
Jim.
Rachel.
A criminal is responsible for the criminal act.
Against Rachel Morin.
The criminal who committed this heinous act
against
should
Rachel.
Be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Say her name.
Forcefully so. That is my response.
So her mom is reacting to this, and just imagine you're her family, you're her children, and he says, our hearts break. For who? For who? Oh, for the children. Our hearts break. So he memorized this statement, but because he's a political hack and a loser, he can't even say her. I'm not saying his name. By the way, maybe that you remember Joe Biden had a little brain fart the other day and couldn't say Mayorkas' name. That's who it is, right? The Homeland Security Secretary. And remember, Biden couldn't remember his name. Maybe that's just karma coming back. But this guy won't say her name. Say her name, Rachel. So your heart doesn't break for the children whose mommy was brutally and violently taken from her. Oh, kids, I'm going out for a run. I'm going out. Bye, Mom. See you. And then they never see Mom again. Her head, the family just said that her head was basically bashed in by this guy. It was a vicious, heinous killing, a beating, a bludgeoning. It was sick. This is a sick individual, a predator, that we're learning more about this. And so he just did this interview on Tuesday. And it's just sickening to me. Do we have the mom? Do we have audio with the mom, Henry? I don't know if we have the audio. As you can imagine, the family, all of the family of Rachel Morin is speaking out and just outraged by the fact that the guy who's Biden's guy, who's the head of Homeland Security, cannot even say her name. Shame. We need that Game of Thrones, like the shame and the bell, because this is sickening. And the reason the reason Biden won't say the victims' names, the reason that Alejandra Mayorkas won't say Rachel's name is because they don't want to bring it home. They don't want to personalize the fact or humanize or think about the name and the tragedy here that 100% could have been avoided if these guys did their job. So your title of your job is Homeland Security. So, sir, did you keep Rachel secure? This is your job. Joe Biden, this is your job. Did you keep this mommy and so many others across this country secure? And by the way, they've released now, we have this, the video that they found more than, I believe it was about 8 months ago, they found the video that was released of a suspect at the time who broke in and violated. We're not even learning all those details of this video of a sicko who violated a 9-year-old little girl and a mom. And they captured that suspect on a Ring doorbell video. And that's in part due to that and then the DNA evidence, how they can pin this on this guy. But it's just, all of this is sick. It just makes you nauseous. And think about what's going on. And remember, I played yesterday the news conference of the outraged sheriff in Maryland who helped bring this guy to justice who did this heinous crime to Rachel, and they fear others, by the way. But they said, the quote was, we're 1,800 miles from the border, but the border has come to us, right? I want you to just think about the fact that all of these individuals here in Philadelphia, I was talking to a family member in Chester County. You have to understand, whether they admit it or not, it's true. Chester County, sanctuary county. Philadelphia County, sanctuary county. Montgomery County, sanctuary. When these incidents happen, whether you've been burglarized, attacked, etc., notice that the media, nobody releases the fact that the criminals, the crimes happening are at the hands of non-citizens. They don't release that information. Do you notice that? There's a reason behind that. Because their Democrat policies have allowed these criminals, these predators in. And this continues. And even when it's stopped, and Biden claims he's stopping it, it will continue. This will affect us for generations to come, because by their own admission, at least a minimum 11 million people have crossed the border with no vetting. No vetting. And because of the sanctuary policies, you see, the police are not allowed to call ICE. They're not allowed to follow up. They just catch and release. That's what the Democrats' policy is. They shouldn't call it a sanctuary policy. Call it what it is. It's a Democrat policy. And it's a policy that puts you and me and everybody we care about in danger. Vote them out. They have put us in danger. This should have been avoided, could have been avoided. And all of these crimes we're talking about can be avoided. We have enough to worry about after the defund the police movement, after we have shrinking ranks. And I know that locally, and kudos to Sherelle Parker and her team and Commissioner Bethel, who talked directly about the defund the police movement, and at the most recent graduation praised the newest class, thanking them for signing up as the newest recruits, right? So these are local Democrats who I give full kudos to their policies. They're saying we need the police, we need security. Good for you. It's not about partisanship in Philadelphia. I'm giving the credit to those who are looking at this saying, this nonsense, this crime has to stop. Let's look at it in the right way, and let's care about each other. But nationally, that's not what's happening here. Shame on Mayorkas for not saying the name of Rachel Morin and others. 855-839-1210. We'll get to these SCOTUS rulings. They're coming out right now. We're getting a whiff of what they mean for all of us and so much more. Great guest ahead. 855-839-1210. I appreciate you being here. I'm fired up. I hope you are too. Be right back.
Something amazing is happening in video conferencing. People are showing up in big ways. That's because CDW is building collaborative and connected video and audio environments with HP Poly. With Noise Block AI to silence distractions and group framing to highlight speakers, everyone on your team gets to shine. Make amazing happen. HP Poly and CDW. Learn more at cdw.com/poly.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group doesn't need Google to know you're worried about retirement. Between inflation, rising taxes, and the uncertainty about Social Security, he understands. That's why he offers a complimentary retirement second opinion. It's a no-obligation meeting for you to talk about your concerns about retirement. You want to know if you're going to be okay? Let's find out. 610-894-7415 or go online, retirereadyfg.com.
Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriani, NPN number 2083768.
I've been asked 1,000 times, did you plan on becoming the largest injury law firm in the world? And the answer is no. When I started, there were just 2 of us. Today, Morgan & Morgan has almost 800 lawyers alone. No injury firm in the country has anywhere close to that. We set out to be focused on our clients and to have a commitment to trying cases and winning. And when you have those results at trial, you're able to settle most of your cases quickly and fairly. Reputation matters. We grew like this because we worked hard and so many former clients referred family and friends. And what I believe is the main reason is we delivered for our clients a lot. Hard work and client satisfaction was our plan. It worked. Hope is not a plan. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Injured? The choice is easy. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you. Morgan & Morgan, official partner of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Did you know you can stream Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app? Just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio to hear the voices you trust. Brian Kilmeade.
Why are we so scared of Iran thinking that we're at war with them?
Guy Benson.
Get the bleep out of here. It's disgusting.
Jimmy Fallon.
Then this administration rolled into town with a checkbook.
Are all on the free Odyssey app. From the news and talk to keep you informed and up to date during election season. Listen to Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
Hey, Percy, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Remember to take us anywhere with the free Odyssey app.
We have so much developing. We'll have a great guest, and we'll react to some of these SCOTUS rulings coming down, abortion rights, social media, Trump's prosecution, persecution for alleged election meddling. And so we'll talk about all of this as we think about the Supreme Court. We have a great guest coming up, and we'll talk to him as well, get his reaction, but with Commonwealth Foundation. But we're going to talk about energy in Pennsylvania, and this is a huge issue, and we want to take a deep dive into that one. Do we have Patty Morin? I want to get to this latest story of, and I know one of the interviews with, in fact, Patty Morin just dropped about 35 minutes ago, in which she's the mom of the murdered mom. So she's the grandmother who's helping raise her grandchildren because her daughter was brutally murdered by a man who is accused of being a killer in his home country, coming to this country. There are those in law enforcement who believe, as I told you yesterday, that this guy may be a serial predator and perhaps serial killer, God forbid. But the mother of Rachel Morin, who was murdered by that undocumented, non-citizen, however you want to describe him, that Biden calls them newcomers. This guy is an undocumented immigrant who came to this country after his home country says he killed another young woman in his own home country. She is slamming the Biden administration. Her name's Patty Morin. She's Rachel's mom. And she is slamming Joe Biden's administration, Mayorkas in particular, reacting to the soundbite you just heard of, the audio you just heard of our Homeland Security Secretary talking about the so-called individual, never saying Rachel's name. So here's Patty Morin, Rachel's mom.
Patty, first I want to say that I'm so sick about this. I'm so sick about your loss.
Laura Ingram,
the loss of
obviously.
all of those parents and brothers and sisters across the country who've suffered from this type of crime, all crime, but this in particular is so heinous and gruesome. When you hear Rachel referred to as the individual by the Secretary of Homeland Security, what is your reaction?
My reaction is that it's a completely political statement because they're not even willing to acknowledge that she was a female, that she was a mother, a daughter. It totally depersonalizes her. and makes her an object.
Well, Randolph,
So that, and Laura Ingram's question was so beautifully said, expressing condolences and sympathy for this grieving family. But think about this mom and grandmom who's now helping raise her grandkids, like I say, how astute she is. And this family has been through hell. I can't even imagine this. You get a phone call. They've found a body after the family had reported that Rachel was missing. And they're thinking, what in the world could have happened? And to find a body, and then, and they had to ID her body. I can't even imagine. I cannot wrap my brain around this. The grief of, and now they have to tell the kids what happened to your mom. The way that Patty, the composure, and she's so thoughtful. I didn't even think of this, but by calling Rachel Morin, by calling her an individual, they're not even recognizing, that she's a woman, that she's a mother, that she's a female. Do you know what I'm saying? And how much that just slaps her with this depersonalized label, as if she's some rock, an object, right? That is a brilliant and astute observation by this grieving mom who's hanging on the words. And just imagine if Joe Biden came out, or Mayorkas, and said that, I'm praying for the family of Rachel, and to you, Patty, to you, and name the children. We know their names. Take a moment, for God's sakes. But you see, they know that Rachel's blood is on their hands. So they don't want to take accountability. They should. But they can't bring themselves to say her name, because Rachel is an object. Rachel is, just like I say, collateral damage in the Biden administration's efforts to allow millions of fresh new voters who, and we know this from Bill Malugin coming across, thank God for Bill, who deserves an award, right? Coming across the border. And what do they say? Oh, Joe Biden. Thank you, Biden. They say him by name. You don't think this administration knew that? And now they're trying to say, oh, no, we're putting the brakes on it. Too little, too late. They already know. They have their quota. They have all these people coming in. It's sick what they've done. And these same individuals are the ones who are telling us, oh, no, it's all about safety. You got to wear your mask. You got to, step on the blue dot. Keep your distance. Show your vaccination card. You can't go to a restaurant or work or school, whatever, if you don't have your vaccination card, if you don't wear a mask. So these same people who were so worried, about safety and the vaccination, right? We just went through that. Like, it feels like 2 seconds ago. And it destroyed our economy, and it destroyed our kids. It damaged our kids' mental health and damaged our kids because now they're reading below grade level, and the math scores and the school scores, and look at the absenteeism and all of that. So they just went through telling us how important it is to make sure that they would vet everybody, and everybody's got to have their paperwork and their vaccines. But these folks by the millions have flooded in, and nobody checked their vaccines or their criminal backgrounds from their home country or anything else. They were unvetted coming into this country. Why do you think that is? 855-839-1210 is the number to call. But, I'm with Laura Ingram. She said it so appropriately. Makes you sick to your stomach, doesn't it? Oh, my goodness. All right, I have to take a break because we have a great guest, Andre Beliveau. You know him. He's going to join me, and we're going to talk about so much that's affecting you and me, these SCOTUS rulings coming out. We'll take a deep dive. This is The Dawn Show. I'm Dawn Stensland. Thank you for being here today. Be right back.
Hi, Hi, Stephanie from Emmons. Are you not loving your bathroom? Is the King's Throne looking a little outdated and run down? Let Emmons Design Specialists design a bathroom that you will love and one that Emmons will redo in as little as 1 day. An affordable, maintenance-free bathroom with little to no inconvenience to you and your family. With finance options available, there's really only one problem. Your bathroom will be so nice, your king may never want to come out. Call Emmons today at 856-885-6677 or visit us on our website at callemmons.com.
Harry, if you watch any more of those stupid financial shows, I'm filing for divorce.
How am I going to keep up with our retirement accounts?
At JML Financial Group, we want you watching your grandkids playing soccer and sunsets in Hawaii, not the latest rumor of a market crash. Surprisingly, with proper income planning, the stock market shouldn't even be a concern. The money came in every 2 weeks while you worked. It should be the same in your retirement years. Let us show you how. Call JML Financial Group today at 856-925-6674. That's 856-925-6674. Or at jmlfinancialgroup.com. So, when your neighbor's sunbathing in the front yard,
Harry, you're an idiot. Get away from the window.
keep your eyes focused where they should be, on enjoying your retirement. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
Hey, this is Ray Didinger. I had the opportunity to open the new Joe Conklin show. It was sensational. It includes all the impressions, Iverson, Merrill, and Mike Barkley. They brought in this whole musical component with a full orchestra. It's really good. His daughter Casey's part of it. His brother's part of it. They can rock it, boy. So you got all the music, plus you got all the comedy. It's a great night.
That's Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra at Wildwood Catholic High School on June 29th and the Ocean City Music Pier on July 13th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
This is Jonathan Cans, third generation owner of Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Have you recently had an HVAC tech at your home to fix your unit and he wanted to sell you all types of upgrades? Look, if your AC unit is acting unruly this summer and needs to be fixed, we'll send out one of our technicians to do one thing: fix your AC. And if we do think you need a new one, we'll have one of our factory-trained install teams put in a new state-of-the-art train cooling system to keep you cool. Visit us at marvinecans.com. That's marvinecans.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Free speech lives here. With Don Giordano weekdays noon till 3. Talk Radio 1210. WPHT.
Okay, just to update you, we're still waiting. I don't know if we're going to get the ruling on the Trump immunity case with SCOTUS. The headlines: Supreme Court upholds a Trump-era tax rule on foreign income. That's Moore v. United States. I know we've talked about that one, which deals with whether a one-time tax on Americans who hold shares in foreign corporations is legal. That's the one-time tax. And there's some other more obscure opinions that we haven't talked about as much. So we're still waiting for the court's ruling. If they're going to, I don't know that we're going to get anything today on the so-called Trump immunity. We'll watch for that one. So as we wait for that one and all of the developing stories of the day, I want to get to Andre Beliveau. Actually, thank you, Andre, for DMing me with the latest piece and what we need to be talking about. Andre, of course, Senior Manager of Energy Policy at the Commonwealth Foundation, and I know you have extensive public policy experience. I mean, you've worked in the energy policy sector, elections law, redistricting, separation of powers, Second Amendment policy, so much with regard to regulatory reform, economic policy. I could go on and on. You have so many hats to wear. But, I talked yesterday about the fact that the government stats show in Philadelphia in particular, in Pennsylvania, we pay the highest energy rates. I want to talk about that. Your take, if you've seen the latest report, the study that was dropped later yesterday, Andre, as far as East Palestine, Ohio, we now learn that many of us are affected, a third of the country, a third of Americans. We're waiting for the Supreme Court rulings, so much going on. Hi, Andre.
Hey, Dawn, good morning. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. I know. Sorry, there's so much.
Great to be with you.
It's always, sometimes I just say, boom, it just feels like there's so much breaking right at 10 o'clock in the morning. But first of all, did you happen to see, as far as the report, this new study that we've been talking about this morning since 6 a.m. with the Kalen Company show, and now extending into this morning and throughout the day, talking about the new report that researchers are saying that, in fact, this East Palestine, Ohio derailment, yes, that there were toxic chemicals that millions of Americans were exposed to, and we don't know to what extent does that mean. It's in our air, it's in our water. Did you happen to see that report? And I just wanted to get your take if you had seen it.
So I've not seen it in any detail. Obviously, I've been seeing it come across on Twitter. I've been waiting with bated breath to see if the Supreme Court is finally going to deliver on Chevron doctrine. And of course, I'm monitoring a few other things coming out of the EPA and expected new rulings, and there's following the court cases there. So I've not followed that one directly, but you also mentioned something in the beginning when we were doing the lead-in on energy prices in Pennsylvania. And one thing I'll flag for your listeners is that at the Commonwealth Foundation right now, we're actually working on a real quick short study on gas prices in Pennsylvania and how our gas prices at the pump, as well as our gas tax, how we compare to other states, and in particular other states in our region, as we're looking to the July 4th holiday. I think some basic comparisons show that I think we're only second to California, if the last stats are right, in our gas prices at the pump. We are also, I think, we're at the top of the pack for our gas tax. So stay tuned for more on that.
Yeah. And, you're talking about the EPA. You mentioned the EPA's new rule targeting coal, natural gas power plant emissions. And you're writing about the fact that does this, well, you wrote, I'll just quote you, that the EPA plays judge, jury, and executioner. Its newest issued rule is a death sentence to American energy and energy-producing states. And I guess by that definition would be the death sentence to many energy sector jobs. Can you take me through what you're talking about here?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think the thing that, of course, Pennsylvania is an energy-producing state. Yeah. We're the second largest producer of natural gas in the country, and we're the largest electricity exporter in the United States. And what the EPA is doing, not only with its ruling, this carbon capture ruling that I was writing about, where they're creating this draconian rule on a technology that does not currently exist. And they're saying that all existing coal facilities and new natural gas plants need to capture its carbon 90% by 2032. This is just not scientifically or mathematically possible, so it's absurd on its face. But what the EPA is doing here really with this rule, and then also some legislation that we're seeing in Congress with something called the Prove It Act, which is really a pathway to carbon taxes. I mean, these are so-called green, climate radical policies that really fundamentally are not about the environment. These are policies that are looking towards degrowth. They're anti-capitalism. They're anti-family fundamentally. As you point out, they're against good-paying jobs. And in a state like Pennsylvania, we are unique in the sense that we will be not only hit in the pocketbook like every American across the country by increased electricity costs, but we will be directly impacted because we hold the key to some of these problems. We're experiencing an increase in energy demand across the country. Think about all these AI and data centers that are getting produced. And, even policies from the Biden administration saying they want to electrify everything with EVs and everything else. All of this is going to increase energy demand. But when you have an EPA that's essentially taking away your reliable energy sources and then preventing new reliable energy sources like natural gas to come online to meet the energy demand, it's a recipe for disaster. And Pennsylvania holds the key to this. We have the ability. We sit on the Saudi Arabia of North America. If we're unable to unlock the full potential of our natural resources in Pennsylvania, America energy dominance will not happen. Energy independence will not happen, and we will not have a reliable grid. So that's why it's important to look at, what Governor Shapiro and Democrats in Pennsylvania are doing. Things I know, John, we talked about in the past with some of Governor Shapiro's energy policies, which are obviously bad and horribly bad for jobs and the economy and energy costs. But we really also need to be looking at what's happening from Washington, particularly with these unelected bureaucrats at the EPA.
Yeah. I had interviewed, I remember last year interviewing Pennsylvania Senator Yaw, who had talked about how this threatens our grid reliability. I mean, we saw that in southern states where if you have this 90% carbon capture in place, first of all, do you feel, as a policy guru, Andre Beliveau, do you feel it would threaten our grid reliability?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the truth of the matter is that serious people are do not try to push all of this aside. I mean, our own grid operator, PJM, which is the regional grid operator that includes Pennsylvania and some of the surrounding states, including the District of Columbia, has been raising the alarm themselves, saying that because we're closing down these coal-fired plants, because we are not bringing on more natural gas or even more nuclear, we're not replacing reliable energy with other reliable sources. We're closing reliable plants because of government central planning that is creating subsidies and now our energy markets are just becoming farms to harvest these subsidies, sort of coercing the market towards unreliable energy. And these are things like solar and wind, which, I mean, I will be the first one to jump up and down for joy when solar and wind and battery storage is at a place of equal reliability to the technologies that we currently have. But the truth is that's not the case. So all they are doing is taking reliable energy off the grid. The only things that are being funded, because the federal government subsidies are coercing the market, the only thing that people are bringing on in large scale are these intermittent or unreliable sources, and it's a recipe for disaster.
And one of the things when this first came out, and they're saying, okay, you have to capture all of these carbon emissions. So I think of like a coffee filter, let's say. You have to have a coffee filter, and it's full of those coffee grounds, and I can put my coffee grounds actually in my rose garden, and it's actually as a fertilizer. I suspect that these huge carbon capture filter things that plants would have to use, probably, I would imagine that those are not good chemicals that you'd want. Where do they get stored? And I had seen a story, I don't know, a couple months ago where they said there was one company that was trying to lease Pennsylvania land. I'm thinking, oh no, are these going to be the new dump sites? And then is this toxic? I don't hear much about that.
Well, and it's interesting because we don't hear about lots of things, right? Like we don't hear about the carbon intensity that goes into actually building solar panels. We don't hear about the carbon intensity that actually goes into wind turbines. We don't talk about the all-in costs of these things. We don't talk about the billions of dollars that would have to go to upgrade the transmission lines on the grid to be able to accept these sources like that renewables. So I mean, there's lots of things. The environmentalists left like to push all of these bad policies without zero explanation because they feel good, because they can use these broad platitudes, say things like it's green, it's clean. They'll try to degrade reliable energy with saying things like fossil fuels, because of course that means it's old and bad. So there's lots of things that are missing from this picture. And I mean, look, I mean, it's not a matter of denying climate change or fully facing and thinking that the world is on fire. I think if someone prudentially believes that climate change is real and we need to do something about it, then we need to be having the right policies to do that. And the truth of the matter is that the environmentalists target our electric grid. They target this because to them, fundamentally, it is not about the environment. It's about degrowth and deindustrialization. So they don't care if we're going to have the power because in their minds, more power means an increase in capitalism, means an increase in production, means an increase in family values and the values of the West. And that's fundamentally what they're against. I think responsible people who care about the environment, want clean air, clean water, and actually want real answers to climate change are not looking at degrowth or deindustrialization or targeting our electric grid. They're looking things at, okay, what are responsible ways that we can, what about in our neighborhood? Are we actually cleaning up our neighborhood? I mean, think about it. Conservatives, first of all, we're the environmentalists. We're the outdoorsmen. We're the hunters. We're the farmers. We're the ones who care about the environment. So, what are we doing about responsible farming, or what are we doing about maintaining wildfires and getting those things under control? What about innovative technologies like seawalls or other things that we know that are going to come because of minor changes in climate, but instead they're hyper focused on something, our electrical grid, that will have an inconsequential impact on anything that they're talking about, but it will do nothing to actually improve our natural environment, but will do everything to destroy our economic environment. It's an attack on modern life, and they come up with all of these new schemes, whether it's carbon taxes or whether it's central planning by saying, let's get rid of reliable energy because we need to answer to the donor class that are giving money to renewables. This is just bad policy overall, and I think there's lots of things, Dawn, like you mentioned, that are just missing from the conversation here.
And Andre Beliveau, continuing the conversation, visiting fellow John Locke Foundation. I know you're also an expert in Second Amendment policy. I wonder, as far as the bump stock issue, and we've seen it here in Philadelphia, that our mayor, our city council wants to outlaw, and they've successfully outlawed the ghost guns, which were a problem. The gang members and so on have the ghost guns. What about bump stocks? What about this latest, and that was a Supreme Court move that overturned a Trump-era bump stock ban?
Yeah, this is also a problem too, right? With sort of left-wing answers or progressive answers to not addressing the underlying issue. Across the country, we hear progressives talking about the issue with gun violence, mm-hmm. and I think this is connected with what I was just talking about of things missing from the conversation. They will create policies that don't actually address the issue. They create policies that will impact law-abiding citizens who are exercising their constitutional right for self-protection, who are utilizing their constitutional right to engage in things like hunting and shooting mm-hmm. sports, and things that as Americans we have the privilege to enjoy. But they'll create policies that negatively impact those people, but then do absolutely nothing to stop crime or do absolutely nothing to have a positive impact on real issues that we know about with mental health in this country. And when you look at the places that have the highest crime rates, let's look at Chicago. They have some of the strongest gun control laws in the country. Let's look at Washington, D.C., places where crime is going up or crime has been up, but they have some of the most strictest gun control policies in the country. We know that this is just a mismanagement of policy and not dealing with fundamental. I don't know if you can hear the sirens in the background. Here, I'm on Capitol Hill in D.C. at the moment, Dawn. You can hear the sirens.
Perfectly placed.
It's a common place. But I think these are feel-good policies, and they work because they work in the public rhetoric, because all of these things, whether we're talking about the Second Amendment or whether we're talking about energy policy is complex. Mm-hmm. And we elect people, whether there are elected representatives in the state legislature or it's in Congress. We elect people who we believe support our fundamental values and principles. And in our republic, we give them deference to make decisions about different laws and pass laws, and then we get to evaluate every several years. We get to evaluate their job performance. We either keep them in office or we vote them out. And I think the issue for a long time is that we have these broad platitudes, and this happens on the left and the right, where people promise the world. They take complex issues and water it down, and we end up missing the mark, and that's how bad policies get in place. And again, whether that's things like carbon taxes or whether that's things like violating our Second Amendment rights.
Andre, I just wonder if, when we look at all of the news of the day, what you're watching for, just circling back, I always think of Jen Psaki, circle back, when I say that too. We used to, Rich Cioli used to call her Jen Psaki, circle back, so I have to make fun of it a little bit. But if I go back to thinking about what we're watching, these different rulings, you in particular are waiting for a ruling that was challenged, right, in, I think, West Virginia, going back to the energy issue of some of these tough, carbon capture type laws. And I forgot to ask you about that, so I apologize. But just going back to that real quick, what are you expecting out of that ruling?
Right. Well, so I think this is going to be the challenges against the EPA's final rule on the power, what we've been talking about, this power plant rule, or the carbon capture rule on power plants. I mean, and it's already starting, the legal process for it has already begun. I think you're going to see a series of challenges at the federal appellate level. It will probably go to SCOTUS. And I think that really, and this is tied in, of course, with Chevron doctrine. The issue that we have at play here is we have unelected bureaucrats who are making policy decisions. They are interpreting laws and exceeding their authority. They're placing essentially they're taking the power of the purse from the legislature, and they're taking away the ability of judicial review from the courts and from the Supreme Court in particular when they're interpreting statutes. So we'll bring it back home to Pennsylvania real quick. We're also waiting in our own state Supreme Court to have oral arguments on the RGGI, or the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative lawsuit right now. As you know, Governor Wolf unilaterally and unconstitutionally brought Pennsylvania into RGGI. It's a carbon tax. He took the power of the purse away from the people's representatives in the legislature, effectively created law, created policy, which is not the role of the executive. Governor Shapiro is now, that was overruled by a Commonwealth court. A Commonwealth court said you can't do that, and now Governor Shapiro is appealing that decision. It's going to the state Supreme Court, and we wait for that. And this is a fundamental issue, whether it's happening in Pennsylvania, it's happening in Washington. Our institutions of government are not functioning appropriately. Congress has relinquished a lot of its authority to these executive agencies, like the EPA. With Chevron doctrine, we see where the court has essentially given its ability to interpret statutes back to the federal levels. With RGGI, we see the executive, through executive order fiat, entering us into a regional compact that's going to impose carbon taxes on Pennsylvanians. This is a problem. It's a problem in Washington, and it's a problem in Harrisburg. And, as we're looking to an election coming up, I think it's something that's important for conservatives in particular to think about when we're thinking about policy. It's important for us to remember what we do with power. And depending on how the elections turn out across the country, I think that is kind of the fundamental question, is what needs to happen. And I think one of the things that need to happen if conservatives find themselves, or Republicans find themselves in a place of power again, is what do you do with that? And I think continuing the status quo of big government, I think continuing the status quo of anti-markets, I think continuing the status quo of our institutions not functioning the way that the founders intended, that is not the direction we need to go. We need the opposite of that. I think we need a reform of our institutions so that they're functioning the right way. And I think we know the policies that work, and they're the ones focused on people. And we know that people prosper the most when policies are focused on free markets and free enterprise. And I think that needs to be on people's minds. When you're going in, thinking about who your elected leaders are going to be, who are the people who are putting forward policies that reflect that. And I think that's also on the front of people's minds, because those underlying principles are what get us to a place where we have a better tax environment, or what get us to a place where we have reliable energy, and what get us to a place where we can start saving some of our own money instead of getting taxed to death. So those are kind of the things I'm looking at, Don, and the things I'm evaluating overall is what's good policy, but also what is a good philosophical framework of governance that we as Americans really need to get back to and embrace.
Andre Beliveau, until next time, my friend, thank you so much. Great analysis. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Don. Always a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about, remember when we reported, and I want to say the New York Post was one of the first, if not the one, to break the story about ICE arresting those 8 Tajik illegal migrants. Remember that? And at least one, if not more, were caught in Philadelphia or had a Philadelphia connection, most of whom were in New York. I think one out west. I have an update on that situation and what's going on there. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what's happening here. We've got some Trump news. Oh, my goodness. Don't go away. 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Hey, it's Greg with Kale & Company. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But the playoffs just ended. Boston Celtics won, and now we get fewer games. But it's okay. Have no fear, because with FanDuel Sportsbook in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, it keeps the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. During the summer, FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Greg, FanDuel.com/Greg, and make the most out of your summer. You still have baseball. The Phillies are playing well. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Don't forget, FanDuel.com/Greg. 21 and over, present in Pennsylvania. Opt-in required. Wager requirements apply. Bonuses awarded as non-withdrawable bonus bets or profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including bonus expiration. See terms and conditions at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, we have absolutely incredible offers and a plethora of both new and certified Volvos from which to choose. We are eager to offer amazingly competitive prices, plus an additional $1,000 Costco discount on all new Cherry Hill Volvos. When leasing or purchasing a new or certified Cherry Hill Volvo, you become a valued part of our team. Join Cherry Hill Volvo for the pricing and attention you deserve. I am Judith Krupnick, president of Cherry Hill Volvo.
This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Do you know when the best time to buy investment properties is? It's now. It's always now. You just need to learn how to buy them correctly. Go to investorschooling.com and sign up for a complimentary class this Thursday night and learn how to buy investment properties and make money every time. That's right. That's what we teach. We teach how to buy investment properties and make money every time. Go to investorschooling.com and RSVP right now. Take a class this Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Don't go through life ignorant about how to become a millionaire. Learn how to invest in real estate, the stock market, precious metals, and learn from an expert. At Investor Schooling, we teach these things and more. We only provide education, and we will teach you how to leverage real estate, how to leverage the stock market, and how to leverage precious metals to make more money than you've ever made before. Go to investorschooling.com and take a complimentary class this Thursday. We will see you there, investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com.
Lose 20 to 40 plus pounds guaranteed with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into their radio show Sundays at 2 or visit njdiet.com.
Chronic pain, cancer, fatigue. Find out about the benefits of medical hydration therapy on Health Watch with Dr. Molly Fantasia every Sunday morning at 8 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Tune in to Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. to hear Phil Cannella and Joanne Small. The Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturday mornings at 11 on Talk Radio 1210.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-403-5569 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-403-5569. That's 800-403-5569. What do you have to lose? Call 800-403-5569. Again, 800-403-5569.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Attention hot tub enthusiasts. Soak in the relaxation at Spring Dance Hot Tubs. For a limited time only, get 0% financing for 60 months on the Philly Special $735 hot tub for as little as $100 a month. And indulge in our Hot Spring Grandie models starting at just $250 a month. Plus, get free Freshwater IQ Smart Monitoring System and Salt System. Visit us for $500 off all smart top covers and 20% off all Spa Frog products. Hurry, offers end June 28th. Visit Spring Dance Hot Tubs today. Subject to credit approval. See store for details.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano inviting you to join me in Wildwood at Mulligan Shore Bar tomorrow to celebrate Dom Giordano Day. We have an action-packed day planned with national guest Scott Presler joining us, lots of local guests, and of course entertainment by Burning Sky Tribute Band. It'll be a great day in Wildwood. Blow off work tomorrow. Join me at Mulligan Shore Bar in Wildwood starting at noon. Mulligan's is located at 310 West Hildreth Avenue in Wildwood, New Jersey. Details at 1210WPHT.com.
For more expert appliance shopping advice, here's National Appliance Warehouse's own appliance guru.
Hello, prime grilling season is almost here. I can almost smell the barbecue now. National Appliance Warehouse is ready with a huge inventory of grills from top manufacturers. Today's grills are loaded with features designed to make outdoor cooking easy and fun, and the grilling experts at National Appliance Warehouse will help you navigate them all. Gas, charcoal, or electric. With so many options, it's important to choose a retailer with superior knowledge and customer service to help you select the correct one. National Appliance Warehouse is dedicated to just that. You'll find everything you need for the outdoor kitchen of your dreams, all at the lowest price available, guaranteed, thanks to Price Assure. And to make sure you're all set for that first barbecue, they'll deliver and even assemble most grills.
The Friends and Family Savings Event is underway now at National Appliance Warehouse. Save on a wide selection of grills and barbecue season and style this summer. Click nationalappliancewarehouse.com or visit their showroom in tax-free Wilmington or Middletown, Delaware today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our Timeshare Exit Information Kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
ISIS in Philadelphia? That's the question. I repeated the reports, the findings, and ICE confirmed this. I believe I always want to give credit. I believe the New York Post was one of the first to break the story that was confirmed by ICE and federal officials, where we had a suspected ISIS terrorist here in Philadelphia. Most of the group was in New York and one out west. Now we're learning more about this. That, in fact, under President Joe Biden, more than 1,500 illegal immigrants from Tajikistan are known to have crossed the border between, this is October of 2020 and last month, May of 2024. Okay, and this is according to, and I'm quoting here, the New York Post is quoting leaked border data. So they have sources within Border Patrol or government, a government agency believed to be Border Patrol that is leaking this information to the New York Post. They're just reporting this. They say the number of migrants flocking to the U.S., the southern border is a real hotbed of ISIS recruitment. I talked about this, and they're talking about the numbers and how the numbers skyrocketed under President Joe Biden. So they say at least 500 Tajiks have been caught so far this year. Again, according to government data, over 14 years. You think about, prior to the Biden administration, according to this data, in the 14 years leading up to President Joe Biden's administration, guess how many Tajiks slipped into the country, are known to have come into the country? About 2 dozen. 2 dozen in 14 years. And in less than 4 years, about 3.5 years, we have 500 who've been caught. So the question is, they've been caught, how many are actually here? And they're saying 1,500 are known to have crossed the border. Only 500 of them have been caught. So at least 1,000 others. And look, they come from a tough area of the world. So hope to God that the other 1,000 that are out there or more, that they came to this country for safety and security and are properly seeking asylum. No, but we don't know. We don't even know how many of the Tajik migrants were released into the United States. But we're told that the vast majority of these individuals caught at the border, they're claiming asylum, and then it's catch and release. They're claiming asylum. Hey, I'm from Tajikistan. It's a tough country. Okay. And here's 6 years, come back to court. That's essentially what's going on here. Why focus on this particular country? Because this particular country, which is a Central Asian nation bordering China and Afghanistan, has become a major source of terrorists. In other words, the recruitment is very high for ISIS. And so this is extremely dangerous, and it's extremely concerning, according to all of these different officials who are speaking on. Some of them are speaking, on anonymity. Others who are counterterrorism officials are speaking out about it now if they're retired, and they're saying that they're seeding people into the United States. And even one counterterrorism official that's being quoted is alleging here that they're coming here to prepare for a possible attack. So think about what we talked about as far as the arrest. So we know that the feds are on them. We know that the FBI director, remember all of a sudden when even Biden administration officials and local officials were kind of taken aback that all of a sudden the FBI and Chris Wray, the FBI director, came out and said an attack could be imminent, and they were very concerned. Now we're learning that this is why, that suspected ISIS terrorists, have used the southern border to come in. And I've done interviews on this, and part of me thinks, usually these guys they're well funded. They're, unfortunately, they're backed by, wealthy nations. But part of the issue here, as we read into this and we learn the information, is that these guys also work within the realm of human trafficking. They're known as being very violent, and that in fact ISIS and its affiliates have been preying upon the Tajiks to carry out the attacks abroad, and can essentially take advantage of these young men who are in an oppressive, repressive nation, and recruit them and brainwash them. And we've seen them in other countries where they are the suicide bombers, or they carry out suicide type attacks, right? And so that's the real concern here. So it's sick in multiple ways, even if they're young men who are brainwashed and being taken advantage of, the fact that we're letting them in and that they're being used now in a dual way through not only terrorist organizations radicalizing these young men through ISIS, but now they're working with the cartels for human trafficking. And so it's a double whammy, if you will. Last Friday, I'll point out to you, the Biden administration had sanctioned 4 people based in Central Asia and Turkey who are allegedly involved in an ISIS-tied smuggling operation helping migrants reach the United States of America. One of those sanctioned men, we've learned, is commander of an ISIS branch, if you will, the Georgia province. He's identified as Adam Kamirjev, who provided guidance to this network on a range of activities supporting ISIS and was aware of its efforts to facilitate travelers to the United States. That's a quote from officials. So they're here. And it's important to know this, to be aware. Obviously, they're on the radar of the FBI to the point that the FBI was tracking one group and became concerned enough that they called in ICE, because remember, local cops can't do that because we are a sanctuary. So as far as the Philadelphia person or people, they remained here because we're a sanctuary. But the feds, acting on this information, they did call ICE and say, you got to pick these guys up. They're so far, to my knowledge, under arrest and being held for immigration violations, not charged with terrorism. But believe me, they were picked up because of the terrorism risk. That's what's going on here. How scary is that? Jeez. By the way, another headline. Can we play this Brett Baer? This is, Donald Trump, obviously. We're all excited. I'm going. Do you have your ticket yet? Donald J. Trump gearing up for Saturday night in Philadelphia. And I know a lot of people with the GOP, Republicans, preparing to welcome former President Donald J. Trump. A lot of supporters are psyched up. And where is Trump going to be? And, this is infuriating local Democrats. I don't know if you follow this on social media, but it's kind of delicious. They're losing their minds, basically. So he's going to be in the Liacouras Center, which Temple is getting ripped. I told you yesterday. Temple released a statement, said we rent out to third parties. We make money. They pay in advance, right? They pay. And he's going to visit the Liacouras Center, North Philadelphia. It's pretty cool. 10,200 seats. North Philly Arena, home to Temple University basketball and other events. And yeah, Trump's going to be here. We now know that the McCormick camp, we got to get Dave McCormick in. I know he's psyched. So McCormick will be there on stage with Trump, and Trump will bring him in. It's the first time, even though Trump, I know, endorsed McCormick, who's running, of course, against Senator Bob Casey, who's a longtime Democrat, his famous father, which is why Zioli has always called him the lesser Casey or the cicada, because you never really hear from him until he's running for re-election, especially now. But we'll get into all of that. But can we play this Brett Baer piece real quick? This is Fox News last night. I know there was some criticism, and MSNBC picked this up, and we're so excited. Even Fox is covering it. They're fabulous. So this was the big announcement.
I'm Brett Baer. We are releasing new Fox polls right now about the presidential race. President Biden gets his best result this election cycle in the head-to-head against former President Donald Trump. He leads 50-48. That is within the margin of error. President Biden hasn't been ahead of former President Trump in the polls since October 2023. He trailed Trump by 1 point last month. Again, all within the margin of error, a very tight race. When listing extremely important issues to their vote, registered voters in this survey citing the future of democracy at 68%, the economy at 66%, followed by stability and normalcy, then health care and immigration, abortion, and guns. This as President Biden is preparing to share a stage with the former president in just over a week, the first presidential debate, which we will cover live right here on Fox News Channel next Thursday night.
So that's Brett Baer, and now MSNBC, and they all love, look at Fox News, good for them, they're reporting it, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing I'll say, the trick with polls, and that's why even when Greg Stocker, and I know Nick Hale, they love to look at the national polls and watch them, and they go up and down, and You look at the questions. I do not put as much stake in national polls as I do the state polls. That's my personal thing. The national ones, okay, it's a snapshot. Fine, it's in June, whatever. I think it's actually better. I would rather that going into their debate. That's fine. I mean, I just think that when we think about Pennsylvanians, what they care about, and I see all of you putting out there, have you been polled? I've never been polled. Nobody's asked me, are you worried about a threat to democracy? So sometimes I think, who's doing these polls? There's a new Marist College poll. That one shows Joe Biden behind former President Donald J. Trump. So I don't know. If we go by a state poll, do you go by a national poll? We've come to really question the polls, right? And that's I love to look at them as a little snapshot. I find it interesting which questions they're going to ask. Whenever we've seen, for example, a Commonwealth poll, and they look at Pennsylvania, and they're asking Pennsylvanians, and they're saying, what about the economy? Who do you trust more? I like those concrete questions as opposed to the threat to democracy, because then I want to do a deep dive. Well, what do you consider a threat to democracy? Do you see what I'm saying? Because what I consider a threat to democracy might be different than a Democrat. You see? And that brings me to, we're going to tee up Condi Rice. I haven't talked about Condoleezza Rice in quite a while, but I do talk all the time about school choice. And right now in Harrisburg, the conversation is tick-tock. We head toward June 30th and the budget deadline, and what it means as far as school choice or school vouchers, even if they only did school vouchers for the poorest children. So it goes by not only the poorest performing districts, but also the poorest families, that they cut it off so that if you earn above a six-figure level, no, it's not for rich people. It's not even for upper class or some middle upper class. This is for the working poor, okay? And they have a cutoff. So I want you to hear what Condi Rice has to say about this. And I've long said that I do feel that education and the right to have a high quality education in America, I believe this is your right as an American. I believe that I interpret it personally as a civil right, as your constitutional right, as your birthright in this wealthy nation. We are so blessed to be born here. And the fact that because of somebody's zip code, that they are denied a high quality public education, that is wrong to me. So here is Condoleezza Rice, Dr. Rice, once the highest ranking woman in the United States government. If you don't know who she is, you should look her up. And she worked under the Bush administration, under Republican administration, I should say. And so now she's, this is an interview that she did with the Ronald Reagan Foundation and the former Secretary of State, addressing a lot of different social issues it's worth looking at. But in particular, she's asked about the issue of education. Listen in.
And so I want to know what you're going to do to make sure that the America that I have benefited from and that I know is available to all Americans if they're willing to work hard for it. What's your idea about how to do that? And we might get some very interesting answers, because for some, on one side, it might be all about what the government can do to do that. On the other, it might be all about what private companies have to do. And somewhere in there is a proper role for what the government might do and a proper role for what the private sector might do. That may not surprise you. I think 90% of it's the private sector. But I'd like to hear that debate, because people are talking over, when you say things like, the economy's just fine and people can't afford their groceries, they think you've lost your mind. And so, because I think Ronald Reagan never lost touch with, let's call it the common person, he could speak to both that person who is in my class at Stanford and the person who just wanted a leg up. I want to have that conversation. And then finally, I have a kind of personal one that I want to ask. So are you for school choice or not? Right? So
you got to hear this.
And here's why I want to ask you that. We already have a choice system in education. If you are of means, you will move to a district where the schools are good and the houses are expensive, like Palo Alto, California. If you go across the street from Stanford, Palo Alto High has a performance arts center that looks like a smaller version of Stanford's. If you're really wealthy, you will send your kids to private schools. So who's stuck in failing neighborhood schools? Poor kids. A lot of them minority kids. So how can you say you're for civil rights? How can you say you're for the poor when you're condemning those children to not being able to read? By the time they're in third grade, they're never going to read. So if you want to say that school choice and vouchers and charter schools are destroying the public schools, fine. You write that editorial in the Washington Post, but then don't send your kids to Sidwell Friends, right?
Boom.
So that's
Applause.
the final question I would like
Thank
to ask.
you, Dr. Rice. Thank you, Dr. Condi Rice. And she says it well, doesn't she? And she is certainly an African-American woman, served in our military. She has every bona fide, credential as somebody in this nation, as an African-American woman who rose up to be the highest ranking woman in our nation, at the time. And as a minority female, if you will, although she doesn't talk about her gender identity or her ethnicity or wear it on her sleeve. But I think that's so significant that she says, how can you say you're for civil rights? How can you say you're for the poor when you condemn these children to not be able to read by the time they're in the third grade? If they don't by the third grade, they're never going to read. And she's exactly right. If you look up the stats, look in Philadelphia here, we have some of the worst performing schools. We have the best kids. We have the best people. It's not about the kids. It's about our low quality situation here. And I'm not going to get into it because I'm up against a break, but it's not the kids' fault. It's our government's fault. It's our fault. And these special interests are denying these children their American birthright, their American civil right to a high quality education. I believe that what she just said is so true. And I hope we continue that conversation for sure. 855-839-1210, but appreciate Dr. Rice saying that because she wasn't being asked about it. She brought that one on for herself. When I think about summertime, this time of year, we're planning our road trip sometime in July, but summer, and today is the first day of summer this afternoon, and it really does kick off road trip season for so many of us. But do you know really if your vehicle is road trip ready? My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles are going to help you make sure you and your family are safe on the roads this summer. These service centers of the Piazza Premium dealers not only handle all your regular maintenance stuff and your needs, but also will diagnose any possible issues before they can occur. So schedule a service appointment online today, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com, for the dealer nearest you, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, PIAZZA, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
I'm petrified of heights. I don't like to be spun in circles. I can't do like the tilt-a-whirl. Makes my stomach queasy.
Associate producer here, Jim Kelly, just came up with a great idea. For $2,000, would you be willing to get on one of those rides that you're so terrified of? All the money goes to the families behind the Badge Children's Foundation.
So the Jersey Devil Coaster, 58 miles an hour, 130-foot drop.
I want to see Philadelphia seeks new morning show host who tragically perished on Boardwalk.
Do it right now. GregStockerStocks.com. All the money goes to the families behind the Badge Children's Foundation.
Yeah.
Start your day with Kale and Company, weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You know that I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app, dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And during the summer, FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Head over to FanDuel.com/Dom and make the most out of your summer. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT, FanDuel official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. You have to be 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. Opt-in required. Wager requirements apply. Bonuses awarded as non-withdrawable bonus bets or profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including bonus expiration. See terms and conditions at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Hey, this is Ray Didinger. I had the opportunity to open the new Joe Conklin show. It was sensational. It includes all the impressions, Iverson, Merrill, and Mike Barkley. They brought in this whole musical component with a full orchestra. It's really good. His daughter Casey's part of it. His brother's part of it. They can rock it, boy. So you got all the music, plus you got all the comedy. It's a great night.
That's Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra at Wildwood Catholic High School on June 29th and the Ocean City Music Pier on July 13th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
Family and Company Jewelers on Route 70 in Marlton, New Jersey is known for being South Jersey's diamond destination and your trusted jeweler for quality, service, and price. Choose from the largest selection of engagement rings in the area or have their master jewelers create a one-of-a-kind ring just for your special day. Visit their showroom or shop online at familyjewelers.com.
Family and Company Jewelers, South Jersey's diamond destination.
Virtua Health, real patients, real doctors, real complex cases. Take one.
Open heart surgery, tear in my aorta.
The most complex cases come to us at Virtua Health.
I'm sure I wouldn't have been here without you.
Being a 45-year-old, not being able to walk up one flight of stairs, I had no idea I was in heart failure.
Virtua is a premier heart failure center in South Jersey.
They changed my life. It's truly a blessing.
Want to follow our stories? Go to virtua.org. Virtua Health, here for good.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
So we do have this just hilarious back and forth between Nathan Wade, the cabin lover. Remember, he was the cabin lover with Fannie Willis in that's the Georgia persecution case of Trump and other co-defendants. What a disaster. He's on with one of the Wayans brothers, who we met way back. Do you remember meteorologist Tom Lemaine? So back in the day, I don't think it was Fox. I think it was when I worked in television at CBS 3, as I recall. And the Wayans brothers came in and they were doing weather. Oh my gosh, I wish I could find that clip. But I think it was Tom Lemaine who they came on with and then backed off. I'll have to find that clip. It's hysterical. The Wayans brothers are so funny. But Nathan Wade, he's out of a job, so I guess he needs to make some money, go on these shows, push a new book, etc. We'll play that in a moment. Just talking about media bias, thinking about this. And I always talk about it from my background, obviously, journalism school, University of Minnesota, the Hubbard School of Journalism. I always wanted to be a journalist. I did what my professors back in the day told me as a journalism student, registered as an independent, and remained a closet conservative until fairly recently. You know, as you may know, because when I first came on the Zioli show, was that 9 years ago, I came on as the news person after working here in Philadelphia for many years, Fox 29, the 10 o'clock news, main anchor for nearly a decade. Before that, CBS 3. Never talked about politics. Always did my very best to play it down the middle, follow the rules. You're not supposed to put, for example, a political yard sign. Did you know that? If you're a journalist, you're not supposed to in any way show which way you go. And it used to be, at least in most of our personal services contracts as television news anchors, locally and nationally. So I worked for CBS News Saturday morning as a host. But so for me, the journey of coming out and saying, yes, I am a conservative. I've always been a conservative. A lot of people surprised by that in my former, life, if you will. And so I see things differently. I always have, as somebody who realized that the vast majority of people I worked with were registered Democrats, and they would often celebrate that, in the newsroom. They'd celebrate when Obama won, they'd celebrate, and I just played it down the middle. I was a registered independent, never talked about politics, never became political, and I did not think it was my job to be political. And now I tell you, if I'm going to say something that's more partisan, I'm going to tell you. If I'm reporting the news, and I kind of, at this point, because people are so biased, I wish most people would just do that. Just reveal, except for the notable exception, Catherine Herridge. I feel that she truly tries her very, very, very best to play it down the middle. And look, she's in trouble now, isn't she? CBS got rid of her, said, oh, it's a budget cut. I don't believe them. But I want to lead you into this latest, it's a new study just released today. And of course, it's being called a conservative think tank, is giving scholarly credibility to long-held conservative suspicions of bias among Wikipedia editors on entries related to current events. That's one of the headlines. But you can judge for yourself. But what they're saying in this latest report is that, yes, and I think they're being fair. And that's the other piece of this I want to point out. Is Wikipedia, is the media, is there a bias that leans left? That's what this group is looking at. Is Wikipedia biased? And then what does that mean looking forward? It's an important question because of AI. So remember the whole story about Black George Washington? Remember this? That an AI question, and this is the problem with AI, because AI is going from all of these different sources, and because you have media, some of which, they're trying to lean one way or the other, and that's going to influence AI. I'll talk about this around the corner, by the way, but it's a new study that's talking about the importance of calling out media bias, even by omission, places like Wikipedia, because AI will rely on them. And the future is with AI. Do you see what I'm saying? 855-839-1210. I'm up against a really tough break. We'll come right back, have the discussion. We'll get to some super laugh out loud, funny stuff. Be right back.
Weather sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
A heat advisory continues today. We'll see plenty of sunshine and will be humid with a high of around 92 degrees. Warm and muggy night tonight, mostly clear with a low 72. And a bit hotter on Friday with plenty of sunshine. It'll be humid with a high 94.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world. Protecting America, fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month, a savings of nearly $300 a year.
Whether you need a $100,000 policy or a $10 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. In a hurry? Don't worry. With SelectQuote, you can get up to $2 million in instant, affordable same-day coverage with no medical exam.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-637-9116. That's 1-800-637-9116. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-637-9116. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Introducing the Honickman Center at Jefferson Health. Outpatient care designed by patients like you. Together, we're shaping the future of medicine, where advanced technology and comprehensive services ensure convenience and accessibility for all patients. Everything you need to simplify the complexity of care is available in one location. Uncompromising care, delivered by world-class physicians. To schedule an appointment, call 1-800-JEFF-NOW.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-688-6641. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-688-6641. That's 800-688-6641.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head and just over $30,000. That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask like 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. Optima Tax Relief. They're the best in the business.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Wow, honey, have you seen the electric bill?
Yeah, it's out of control. But have you heard of Navien tankless water heaters?
Tankless? How does that even work?
Well, instead of constantly heating and storing water, it only heats water when we need it. So much more efficient than our giant tank heater.
That sounds great. Let's look into Navien.
Already on it.
Imagine all the hot water you need only when you need it. Bulky tanks are history. Navien high-efficiency tankless is the future. Compact, wall-hung units free up floor space, lower energy bills, longer life than tanks, and a 15-year warranty. Find out more at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Do you feel like you're going through life clouded by doubt? Talk to California Psychics. Our trusted and accurate psychics are available 24/7. And we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Download the app or connect with us at CaliforniaPsychics.com. Right now, new customers get 80% off their first reading. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Yeah, so summer kicking off this week, by the way. Today, 4:51 p.m. So it'll be the shortest night of the year, the summer solstice. And then we look forward to that strawberry moon tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Dawn Stensland, Dawn Show. I want to get to this really funny audio in just a sec. But I just want to wrap up this just a quick segment about this Manhattan Institute study. And they're looking at Wikipedia and the importance of Wikipedia. I go to Wikipedia all the time, and it's the idea of group sourcing, but is it politically biased? And so they looked through, what is truly one of the most popular domains on the World Wide Web. Hundreds of millions of unique users a month, and all pushing forth this content. And so Wikipedia content is also routinely employed in the training of large language models, those LLMs. That's what the Manhattan Institute's talking about. So to study this, they analyzed positive, neutral, or negative, and they go through it. They give you all the details, which I love this stuff. I don't know if you like this. But they're saying, in other words, they're not cherry picking. They point that out, and they said that they just wanted to know when they look at the different language, let's say about target terms, political connotations. Names of recent U.S. presidents, Trump, Obama, even Jimmy Carter, U.S. Congress members, U.S. Supreme Court justices, or prime ministers of Western countries that are used in Wikipedia articles. What's notable here, and I mean, you and I, we're not surprised, right? I didn't have to read the Manhattan Institute study, but they really go through it in incredible. You can go to Manhattan.Institute and look this up. Just put in Manhattan Institute, it'll pop up. They do an intro. They tell why this is important as far as Wikipedia. How many languages? 4 billion visits a month. And this is worldwide. So their point is that Wikipedia there's power in Wikipedia right now because it influences people, but also because Wikipedia, moving forward especially, will be a major source for AI, for artificial intelligence. And so it pushes the narrative. And what they're saying, and they're not completely blasting Wikipedia, but they are saying that, yeah, they're noting this, there is political bias. And when you think of, especially when they talk about certain conservative Supreme Court justices or Republicans or Trump especially, that's when you see that, whoosh, there's a negative connotation. And they'll say that the target, so certain people will be more neutral, some will be positive. Of course, you know, Obama, positive. And so they go through it and they give you all of the results. And they give you the sentiment of even some terms like truth terms. We can talk about this more as we move forward, but I just want to put things like this on your radar as we think about a study that really goes through this in depth. And it's the Manhattan Institute. How is it portrayed when it's even reported on? Well, it's a right-wing institute. Look at it yourself and tell me. I think that they go through, they have a discussion, they do a conclusion. This is an in-depth study of terminology, why it matters. It's very thoughtful, and it's talking about policy as well, policy influences. So I just want to put that out there to you. All right, do I have time to get to the Wayans? You got to hear this. So this is Nathan Wade. The Fonnie Willis people are not happy. Fonnie Willis, his former boss, lover, etc., who hired him because I think she thought he was Nate the Hottie Nate. I don't know. But now he's doing some interviews reportedly out of Hotlanta, the Atlanta persecutor in the Trump case. She is not happy with Nathan. That's the word, which I love. But listen in. This is the first. We'll go to two, okay? So let's go to these. This is Nathan Wade being interviewed by, is it Marlon Wayans, one of the Wayans brothers, who is hysterical. As I guess Nathan Wade thought this would be a serious interview, but I mean, the Wayans brothers are so funny. So listen in.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to Chopping It Up with Quan. This is me. You know what I'm saying? I'm a real giving the real questions that the real people want to know. Here today, I got my man, Nathan Wade, looking smooth. Yeah. What was your first thought when you had the affair with Fonnie come public between you and her?
I don't label it an affair.
Wifey or?
D.A. Willis is a respectable mother, a brilliant legal mind.
Right.
We spent countless hours preparing this case, investigating this.
I see how it happened, countless hours, and I need a foot rub, and you know what I mean? She rub your foot, and you like, here, let me give you a massage, and all of a sudden, boom, we up on this desk. Man.
No. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close.
Great. She liked it at you, or you liked it at her?
Well, that's a great question, right? So during the course of the investigation, we would meet early mornings, weekends, spend full days.
How can you not hit that? How can you not? We spending that much time together. We doing everything. We might as well.
Well, in terms of workplace romances, how many places have you worked?
I probably worked like 3 or 4 places, and everywhere I went, It was a mess.
Well, you know.
So she your boss?
So
you on that indecent proposal shit?
No.
You on that Demi? What's that white girl?
Demi Moore.
Married to the
with Robert Redford, Indecent Proposal.
So that's a common misconception,
Disclosure.
Right?
You on that disclosure?
No. That's a common misconception. She's not my boss. She's never been my boss.
You wasn't he-tooed.
Right.
Right. She ain't he-to you.
No.
You weren't he-tooed.
Contract attorney. She was more analogous to a client to me.
So you saying she was a client?
Yes.
So you served her well.
I did my job. And let's talk about some of the successes I did while I was
I think we talking
on the
about
job.
the success you
No,
did
we didn't. We're talking about securing an indictment, talking about getting people to enter pleas.
Right, enter pleas.
Oh, no.
Enter pleas.
Enter please.
Well, we're talking about
my goodness.
other jurisdictions even following suit.
So let me ask you, when old girl was like, hey, babe, you want to be in charge of this prosecution of the President of the United States who did this insurrection? Did you think, like, this could get messy? Or you was like, nah. Yeah.
We did not have that type of relationship at the outset, and we were interviewing other people for the position.
What position was it?
It was only the position of special prosecutor.
Did that position look like this?
Now he sticks his fanny up.
Or did that position look like this?
And now he leans back and spreads his legs. It's hysterical. And Nathan Wade he's smiling, he's kind of amused, but reportedly, the Fannie Willis people are very unhappy. This is the ex-Trump special prosecutor. He did defend his former boss. He's now fired. He's out of there. He is defending his former boss, Fannie Willis, and the relationship. That was on The Daily Show. Oh, my goodness. You got to see the whole thing. It's online. It's trending. Just hysterical. Good for Marlon Wayans. He is so funny. I got to take a quick break. Your thoughts? You can sound in. We have so much more. A little Trump news, a little SCOTUS news, a little local news. Be right back.
It's officially summer, and the Zioli Army is headed to Cape May. Let's storm the beaches of Cape May at the Grand Hotel. Join me for our live show Friday, June 21st. Can't wait to see you there at my happy place, the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. And we're going to have a very special surprise guest hanging out with us as well. So make it a priority. Put it on your calendar today, Friday, June 21st, 3 to 7 p.m., live at the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey, grandhotelcapemay.com.
Crash Proof Retirement is taking an aggressive, bold step, becoming the very first firm in history to record and store all financial meetings. This unprecedented initiative documents that at Crash Proof Retirement, fiduciary responsibility is not just something we say, it's a legally binding guarantee that we've always delivered to the Philadelphia region.
Savannah McHugh, Montgomery County. Wall Street will tell you they're looking out for your best interest. They say that fiduciary thing, and then it goes out the window. Crash Proof is saying, not only are we saying it to you, but we're going to put it on film. There's no shadow over anything that they do. That's the difference. Crash Proof Retirement has taken the time to show that they care so that we can go home, go to sleep, and not have to worry about it.
Learn why recording financial meetings validates Crash Proof Retirement's fiduciary responsibility. Schedule an appointment or register for our next event at Downingtown Country Club, July 23rd. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Attention hot tub enthusiasts, soak in the relaxation at Spring Dance Hot Tubs. For a limited time only, get 0% financing for 60 months on the Philly Special $735 hot tub for as little as $100 a month. And indulge in our Hot Spring Grandie models starting at just $250 a month. Plus, get free Freshwater IQ Smart Monitoring System and Salt System. Visit us for $500 off all smart top covers and 20% off all Spa Frog products. Hurry, offers end June 28th. Visit Spring Dance Hot Tubs today. Subject to credit approval, see store for details.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano inviting you to join me in Wildwood at Mulligan Shore Bar tomorrow to celebrate Dom Giordano Day. We have an action-packed day planned with national guest Scott Presler joining us, lots of local guests, and of course entertainment by Burning Sky Tribute Band. It'll be a great day in Wildwood. Blow off work tomorrow. Join me at Mulligan Shore Bar in Wildwood starting at noon. Mulligan's is located at 310 West Hildreth Avenue in Wildwood, New Jersey. Details at 1210WPHT.com.
Hey pet parents, the summer season is here, and that means it's time to get outside and enjoy some sunshine with your pet. Hi, I'm George Parenti, the lead dog at the Dogs and Cats Rules stores. The stores are loaded with great summer collections of outdoor and interactive toys. We carry the finest selection of fresh diets, like gently cooked, raw, freeze-dried, air-dried, dehydrated, baked, and of course traditional kibble and cans. Dogs and Cats Rule with 7 neighborhood locations. Visit dogsandcatsrule.pet. That's Dogs and Cats Rule. Shop small, shop local, shop family.
Don't walk around with t-shirts and cover-ups at the pool or the beach this summer. Lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. That's nearly twice as fast as weight loss injections and without any of those nasty side effects. Lose weight the natural way quickly and safely. Locations close by or available worldwide with live online video consultations. Get slimmer before the summer and without any shots. Call 855-5NJ-DIET to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days guaranteed. NJDiet.com. Lose the weight for good.
Pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, or back that won't go away? Check out QC Kinetics. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. QC Kinetics. 215-999-3000.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause, brought to you by Advocacy United, this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that'll affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Yo, Roy is Ford. We know your favorite station is 1210 WPHT.
Before we get to one of the members of our team here, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT is going to be a featured speaker at an event this evening we want to tell you about. I just want to update you on something. I know the story broke last night, and I had talked about this story of another illegal individual. I'll call him an individual, even though he's on the cover of the New York Post. They call him a monster, and that's what he's widely being called. He kidnapped and raped this 13-year-old little girl, 13 years old, raped her sick. And according to the district attorney there, according to the police and law enforcement, this sicko, Ecuadorian man who came here illegally, who preyed upon this child and raped her, reportedly recorded the attack and made a sickening confession. That's the latest. So he was officially charged. He was charged with raping this, according to the report here. The official charges allege that this scum raped this 13-year-old girl. He had tied her up. He gagged her. She was out with another teen friend in a broad daylight in a park, and that he recorded the attack. And he told them this, and it all came out in court as these charges are being leveled against this scum. 25 years old. His name is Christian Ingalandi. And so this situation is unthinkable. Predatory, he's charged with, among other things, rape, predatory sex assault, kidnapping, and many other felonies. It's a shocking situation that happened. And you think of parents everywhere just looking at this going, oh my goodness, the kids are out of school or almost out of school, and they're walking to the park, and it's broad daylights in the early part of the afternoon. Who would think that something like this could happen? These predators exist. It's really, it's scary. It's horrible. But they have the video, and so it'll be part of the formal record. But a shocking videotaped statement and the transcript of this sick situation. Oh my goodness. They were held. This guy had like this machete style blade that he held to their throats. And he's, of course, he has a court appointed attorney who claims, he's got a gun problem. Told them that he stumbled across these two kids and pulled out the knife that he found. He found this, and then threatened those people and threatened these kids, I should say. He tied them up. It's just sick. Cut off her clothes, was cutting off her clothes and did all this sick stuff to her. It's just, terrorizing them. You can't even imagine that. They got DNA from the scene, have all kinds of DNA evidence, but it was caught on video, and oh my God, it's sick. It makes me nauseous. I'm glad they have tangible evidence to this. Do you know what I'm saying? And you had all of these individuals, vigilantes. I told you about that yesterday. You heard about it. But Jimmy Kelly, on a much brighter, lighter note, we're very proud of our own engineer, Jimmy Kelly. Jimmy, you're speaking tonight at an event that we can all go to.
Yes, it is RepublicansWithHope.com. Hope Danoff, who was a guest here on the Dawn Stensland show, and I contacted her, seeing if she was looking for any DJ work or to DJ her event, because she is trying to put this group of Republicans together right now. And there's an event tonight at a Viva restaurant in Narberth. So she asked me if I'd be a speaker, talk about what I'm going to do here at 1210 WPHT. Our own Barry Sable's going to be there as well, who you hear Sunday mornings here from 10 to 11. And I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be talking about what it's like to work here at 1210 WPHT, my experience doing radio, some of the impressions that I do.
Rush Limbaugh.
It's my friends, yes. And I will be telling people to buy my book, I'm Right, You're Wrong, Deal With It, and maybe do some Mark Levin. So who knows what's going to happen. I'm a little nervous, but I'm very excited too as well.
Oh, you'll be great.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, Jimmy.
Thank you very much.
So we can check out the website. What's the website again?
RepublicansWithHope.com.
So thank you, Hope. And Hope's a great lady. We had her on a couple times, and so I'm glad that you guys connected, and we look forward to that. And he has amazing other, all the impressions. And you worked with Rush. You met him before. It's a proud moment. You have a picture with him, so that you got to tell that story.
Well, I've met Rush Limbaugh, and again, it's not so much about meeting Rush, but it was the friendship I developed with the photographer that really stands out to me. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear more about Rush, the great one, Mark Levin, all of it from our own Jimmy Kelly, it's going to be a great event tonight. Now, I don't know if we usually do a crossover, but I know that Mike Opelka, my friend Mike Opelka, is filling in for the Dom show. So I don't know if I'm crossing over. Not that we're cross-dressers. It's called a crossover. That's our lingo in the biz. Are we doing a crossover with Michael Opelka or not?
Let's see.
We have Michael Opelka. Calling Michael.
Calling Mike, you there?
Hey, Mike. Maybe not. We had texted each other and said, maybe we'll do a crossover tomorrow, but maybe we can't pull him up. I know that Mike Opelka has an amazing show for you. I'm sorry we couldn't cross over to each other, as we say. That's a bummer. I wanted to do a tease. I was like hyping it up. Mike Opelka filling in for Dom. And then tomorrow, of course, Dom and my dear friend Rich Zioli will be down the shore, so we'll talk a lot. We'll promote it if you're not already heading down. Hey, stay cool in the heat. We have a heat wave. It's dangerous if you haven't heard, so keep cool. Seriously, be safe and make sure that all your pets are inside the AC